What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday, the day after Tuesday and the day before Friday and Thursday. And after Monday. It doesn't really matter. It's Wednesday. It's hump day.
It's not the weekend, so...
It's hump day, and I know it's hump day because the camels outside of my yard are looking at me like,
yelling
you know what day it is?
That
I'm
one
like,
camel?
it's hump day! I'm here today. My name is Anthony Achinelli, twitch.tv/AnthonyACC. I'm here today with two of my dearest friends and closest lovers. Doveth Aboveth, please introduce yourself.
I am Doveth Aboveth, or the Dove, or Veronica Corningstone, if you so prefer.
Or that.
I'm a caster on Twitch, and primarily that's my content creation area. I'm still getting off the ground, so...
Aren't we all?
Yeah, if you guys enjoy the podcast, or if you like to watch first-person shooters, or pretty much any kind of variety game, I like to beat games until they're dead. So, yeah.
There you go. And then we have to his right on my screen, to his butt on your screen, we have HK Smash, our guest for the day. Please tell us about yourself, good
Hello,
sir.
friends. Yes, I am HK Smash. Appreciate you guys coming out and watching. And Anthony, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
I'll have you anytime.
I'm also a content creator on Twitch as well as YouTube. You guys can come check me out at twitch.tv/HK Smash and over at YouTube at youtube.com/real HK Smash because somebody took HK Smash when I made my account. But yeah, there you go.
Okay, well there you go. Well, thank you for coming here today. I appreciate it very much. You're awesome. Thank you. I'd say we go ahead and get this party started a little bit. So we're gonna start with reviews. Review.
Hey, Max.
Kind of a slow time of the year. Not gonna lie. A little bit slow time of the year. I don't know why they do this, but January tends to have like no titles. They do this every year.
Nope.
Is it because everybody's broke from Christmas and they know that? So what's the point of putting out a game when everybody?
Tough time to put out a game.
It sucks for me.
Not a lot of people will buy it.
Because my birthday is early. My birthday is early February, so I don't get shit for my birthday. I get leftover Christmas presents, and my parents just hid to the side. They're like, "Oh, here we got you this. My bad."
The ones they lost in the car.
It's yeah. Oh, we found this in the closet. We were supposed to give you for Christmas, but here you go. It's your birthday. This is perfect. I want to talk about a game that I wasn't ready for. I want to talk about a game that I'm fairly convinced.
It's good.
That I'm fairly convinced I was the lead character in. A game, a little doozy of a gem, a little doozy of a game known as Volgarr the Viking. For those of you that didn't watch the playthrough or haven't played it, take like Golden Axe and add in like masochism and anger, and you have yourself Volgarr. This has got to be one of the hardest games that I've ever played. The only game that I could think that maybe came close were games like Super Meat Boy was really difficult, or like even Mega Man. Like if you ever played any of the Mega Man games, those games made kids rage.
Depends on what you played Mega Man on, but I completely agree.
That's true. This
What
game.
about Bashi?
Oh,
And I've never played
please.
Bashi.
I think if you played Bashi, you would probably understand what it's like to really rage.
It's awful. Like Solgren is literally like he literally sits in his little cave and will be like, yes,
That'll do.
yes, enjoy your pain.
That'll do. Yeah, Volgarr the Viking was
Trollgren.
awesome.
There you go.
What was great about the game was that it was 5 main levels, and then as soon as we thought we beat the boss, there was another 2 levels. And then once you beat those 2 levels, you can actually go back to the game, and you can collect these orbs that allow you to get to secret levels. But the only way you can collect these orbs is by not getting hit for like 6 or 7 treasure chests. So you basically have to like perfect these levels, and then you go to another level that's harder than that level, and you only have like 2 chances to beat it. It's this whole, so the game is what, $10. You can get it on the Humble Bundle for $1, and
Oh, I'd pay 10.
And that's what I paid, and it's amazing. And here's the thing: is that unless you're like a pro gamer, like unless you play games like Bashi or Mega Man's or I don't know, whatever the fuck else games are out there that are really difficult, Wings of V. Unless you're man versus game, this game could take you 100 hours to beat. Because I'm not kidding you, like it's tough. Now, I like to consider myself sort of a gaming guru, and I was able to beat the game the first time in like, it took me a while though. It took me like 8 hours or something the first time.
That's not that bad.
And the second time I beat it, it took me an hour and 12 minutes. So
Okay, that's a big
What are you
difference.
gonna speed run Volgarr now? What are you gonna go to AGDQ?
I want to get it under an hour, like real bad, real bad. So the cool thing about this game, and the reason why I kept playing it, because there's a difference between I want to iterate this point well. There's a difference between a game that's difficult because it's poorly made, and a game that's difficult because it's balanced well and they know what they're doing, and it's up to you to get better. Games like Dark Souls.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I don't think
Knew it was coming.
Dark Souls does a very good job of it. I think that there's like an input delay, an input lag, and I
let me
think
ask you a
that
question before you continue. Do you
Yes.
think Lords of the Fallen did a better job?
yes,
Interesting.
I do. So I feel like there's an input lag, and there's like a cumbersome movement to Dark Souls, and I feel like hit detection's slightly off, and the game's just cheap. What Dark Souls does, it'll just put like the strongest enemy around a corner that you can't see, and then you'll die. And it's like, well, that's not even fucking hard. Like Dark Souls is the game where you just have to memorize what you're doing, and then you can just run through it naked and win, which you can literally do in that game.
Yeah,
So-
the RNG, it does make a big difference. If you understand the RNG and have played the game enough, it's
Right.
much easier. But if you don't, I mean, to give you an example, playing Dark Souls 2, if anyone's familiar with it, there's a big hippo individual, like a gigantic, and he falls on you a bunch of times. You're not supposed to fight him until way later in the game.
It's really a
And I
Mando
sat
pick.
there and just ran into a wall like an idiot for 5 minutes, just cause I like to kill things because they're there. But that's Dark Souls. It's here's this thing that's right.
That's how
in
you
front
play
of
Far Cry
but
also.
Don't kill it. Good job.
Yeah, I think it was the first Dark Souls where you walk into this first dungeon, and there's this massive dude. I think he has a huge axe or something, and you're supposed to drop down on his head.
Right. That's the first boss, the Asylum Demon.
But you don't have to kill him. You can just go past him.
You have to, yeah. Well, I mean, you can kill him, but
Yeah. But so the difference between that and what Volgarr did it where every time you died, it was your dumb fault. It was like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. There were maybe a handful of times where the game would do something random that I just wasn't expecting, and I would die from it. But everything made sense, right? Once you figured out how a boss moved, you could go to that boss and beat him. Once you figured out how a level moved, you go to the level and beat it. And dude, that game was just good. I mean, that game was good. I can't think of a new game that's been created to emulate games of old that's done as well as Volgarr did. And I mean, hats off to Chris at Viking Game Studios or Viking Studios. That thing is that game is sexy. I've never wanted to speedrun a game before.
I was watching you play that game for a little while, and it looked really, really good.
It's
And you gotta
really
give it up
good.
to the indie developers, man. They have really had an opportunity, especially with the PlayStation, have had an opportunity to really break out this year. This whole generation has been. It seems like it's been a lot about the developers and a lot of these development companies, and seeing a bunch of my friends who are developers in these small 5 or 6 individual startups just really making these ridiculously awesome games for not that much money and practically doing better than some of these really high-end blockbuster hits. I mean, Anthony, you played Assassin's Creed for a little while.
Oh yeah.
And that game got a decent amount of flack. It didn't do that good. I know you liked it, and some people didn't like it, but I saw a lot of. I didn't see as much positive as I expected to see from that game.
It was It's like they took a shit and then boxed it up and sent it to people.
It's
the
just
game wasn't a game when it came out.
At least if you're gonna shit in the box, at least make it smooth, make it presentable, right?
Wrap it up nice.
But yeah, make it look somewhat presentable. I want to see some visually appealing poo. And then you got a company like that makes a game like Assassin's Creed that has had such a great track record, and then you put a game out like that, and it doesn't do as good as you expected it to, and you've got all this money for everything from research and development down to testing. Are you kidding me? Like there, and you're expected to go above and beyond the expectations, but then you got a game like the one that you were playing earlier, the Volgarr. You know that I mean that to me is makes it all worthwhile to play those games more.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of I mean, it's just that's been a little bit of a disappointing. And seeing some of the games this year, from the next generation, and then seeing all these indie games coming out, it's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And this is what. So kind of, I'm gonna take a little tangent here off of what you just said, and that's what it makes me sad. So it makes me I get disappointed in the fact that more people don't. I understand people not playing the game because I didn't even really hear about Volgarr until a buddy of mine played it, and I was like, oh shit, what is this? Like, this is awesome. I'm gonna try it. What makes me sad is that I'll turn it on the stream. And the first 15 comments I get are, play GTA 5, play Far Cry 4, what is this? Oh my god, this game looks like Sega Genesis. Ew, ew, these graphics are, what's the story? What's the point? What's the objective? Why, fucking shut up for 1 second, just watch the game, and shut up. Like, I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to respect and appreciate something that isn't Grand Theft Auto.
Well, the problem is when you're playing a game like Grand Theft Auto, and if we're going to kind of segue into that for a moment, you have to understand your community. Every single game, every genre has its own little niche community. Yeah. And you have to be very cautious about what community, like League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto, World of Warcraft, even Killer Instinct, a game that I play religiously. You have the fight game community, you've got the Call of Duty community, which I don't even want to talk about. All of these different games, they have all their different audiences. And you have to understand when you play a game like Grand Theft Auto, think of the people who are buying that game. They're probably between the ages of 12 and 17. So they haven't they haven't hit puberty, or they're just spoiled brats, honestly. And it sucks to say, because then as content creators, I'm 26, so I grew up in an age where it was all the Genesis, it was Super Nintendo, and I appreciated games that were side scrolling, and the pixels, they look beautiful to me.
8-bit art is the most beautiful thing.
And it really is. And I think it takes a lot of talent to make art like that. And then as the years went on, look at all of the development and all of the growth that all of these companies have made, making these games look so amazing. You have to give them I'll always give everyone the benefit of the doubt, no matter what. That's just how I am. I guess I'm a sucker for that. But these kids that are watching games like Grand Theft Auto, what did they have to work off of? Like, I see videos online of teens reacting to Super Mario, and they're like, what the hell is this? And I want to rip my heart out, and I want to just I want to bleed out, because that upsets me that they don't know the history behind it. So you have to give them the benefit when it comes to playing a game like that, because that's just what they're used to seeing. So you can't blame them for it. It's on them to kind of go back and understand where everything came from. I'm sure if you gave everyone the opportunity to say, okay, this is where it all started, and this is what the timeline was, up until the point where you get to just get into a car and kill people and hang out with hookers and then kill them for the money that you paid them, and things like that. So it's you just got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I think on Twitch, I mean, a big part of the GTA community is, I mean, they're looking for a bunch of people that are, doing the same thing and want to play the same games. So I mean, they're looking to play with whatever caster that they're watching. Which we've talked about this before, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing necessarily, but it is the way that it is. And so they're there for their own, they're servicing their own needs, and I don't know if that sounded awful, but
service my needs once a week.
Yep, same here.
What are you gonna do? Sometimes it just needs to happen, and you just gotta take care of yourself.
So off of what you guys said, do you think that it would be unwise, or do you think it would be wise to say that our generation will appreciate games more than the generations below us? Do you think we have a better appreciation of video games?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. But
it's just like anything else. I mean, look at think of music, just to step away from the gaming industry. Look at how far music has come. Look at the changes that the music industry has, from rock and roll to now it seems like it's all
I would say it hasn't.
But think of
better.
Most people who play instruments, they can appreciate what everything from what rock and roll and what music creation was. If we're going to talk about content creation, think of how much that has changed. So our generation, yeah, I think we have a much more deeper love for what gaming is than what the new generation has, for sure.
Also, another thing, I feel like this is just me observing like sociology, and we're going way off here, but if you're an older generation, you perceive the younger generation as not appreciating the same things that you used to appreciate. I mean, like that's like, it's
so
kind of human nature.
I understand that, and I get that, and I know we sound like the old men that are like, oh, young kids these days, you don't appreciate the classics. And that's what every generation does. But what Twitch has given me is a view into that generation, right? Like I'm able to
for sure
to one-on-one like instantly register what that generation is feeling and what they're thinking. And when we're doing this podcast last week and I have 3 people come in here and say I'm unfollowing because we don't play GTA anymore, like that to me is a sign that you don't know what the fuck is going on. Or like when I'm playing Volgarr and I have people coming in saying like what is this? This is garbage. Like why would you play this? And like no matter what you tell them, they don't get it. Now they don't not understand it because they can help it. They just don't understand it because they don't know any better. Right? They don't know any better. It's like I remember growing up and my dad kept playing that who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third, or whatever that skit is back in the day.
Yeah, Abbott and Costello.
And I never thought it was funny. And I remember him getting so frustrated with me. Like, how could you not be laughing at this? And then I'd watch Anchorman with him, and he'd be like, what is this? This is the stupidest shit. And I'd be rolling.
Yeah.
And that's what there's a disconnect between the two. And I think that it's I think it's important that we notice both, but I don't know.
One isn't more valid than the other. It just exists that way.
I just wish that people would. I wish that the generations younger than us would understand that there's more to video games than graphics and frame rate.
Yep.
That's all I'm asking. That there's more to it than pixels, particles, frame rate,
to appreciate
and 4K.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
when I was younger, I mean, in my young eyes, I was just all about how does it look? Does it look visually appealing? Am I going to have an eyegasm here? Like, and then as I got older, I understood like, well, I'm not going to spend $60 on a game that just looks good because if it plays like shit, then what's the point?
Exactly.
I want to have fun with what I'm playing. So I think that it's just like a phase. I think, Anthony, I'm sure you could speak to this. Like, you probably wore baggy pants when you were growing up in middle school, right? I went through a phase where I wore pants that were bigger than what I could really wear. And then I grew out of that stage because then I realized that pulling up my pants every 10 minutes was really not the most fun thing in the world. So then I went ahead and got myself some fitted jeans, and I figured, oh, these actually feel much better. You just grow out of those phases, dude. Like, that's just going to take time, man.
You're right. It's the same thing. Like I don't want to pay $100 for a hooker that just lays there. Like if she might look fantastic, but if she just lays there,
jeans to hookers, like,
Okay, let's move on to the next game we're talking about, which is the Swapper. So the Swapper came out last year for PC, but it's on the January PlayStation Plus free release list, along with.
Swapper is the swiper's cousin.
Yes, that's in the opening dialogue. No, so in Infamous First Light, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Infamous First Light. Those are and then Doom 3 big ass edition. Or I don't know, whatever is on there as well. I've never played the Swapper. I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea when I turned it on yesterday, and I have to say that it is fucking beautiful. It's this like side-scrolling, open-world puzzle game where you can use like a clone gun. They call it the Swapper to make up to 4 clones of yourself, and then you can shoot to each clone and become that clone. But then there's all these lights. There's like red lights, and you can't shoot through a red light. And then there's a blue light. You can't clone through a blue light. So you'll get into this room, and you have to press all these switches and grab an orb. And there's like a red light blocking, and a blue light blocking, and this light blocking, and they're crossing. And you have to like hit a switch to move the red light, and then like clone a guy, and then you can go in slow motion. It's like if you're really good at the game, you can like clone a guy above you, and then like zap to him, and like climb through vertical space by just like cloning and jumping. Like the game, there was a moment yesterday when we got into this open room. We just beaten a puzzle, and there was this just beautiful ambiance and like the way the game looked and the sound. And I literally
Did you
just
stop and turn the volume up?
I just stopped and I told the stream there was like 100 people in there, and I was like, look, everybody just close your eyes, don't talk. I'm gonna mute my mic and we're just gonna sit here for a couple of minutes. And we did, and it was this like out of body, out of world experience. I mean, that game, and it's speaking again. I mean, we're talking about another indie title that is just blowing me away. This game is so good, and the fact that it's free right now, like, is unbelievable. And then on top of that,
and not have to pay for anything. You can just actually
true.
get the games for free.
here's the great thing about indie titles too, is that I literally tweeted out yesterday, "Hey, I'm playing the Swapper on PSN, whatever."
And the developer just was like,
Curve
"What's
Studios,
up, guys?"
Curve Studio tweets me. He's like, "Hey, I'll be there in a second. Giving some games away." He came in and probably gave out 30 copies of the game.
That's sick.
It's like, what? Like,
That's
I've
really
never,
awesome.
you know how many
gotta
times
tweet
I've
at
tweeted
devs.
at Far Cry Game, at The Crew, at Grand Theft Auto, like, and I've
Yeah.
never gotten anything from them.
Yeah.
Yet them and Volgarr both came out and were like, "Oh, like, let's hang out in your chat and we'll talk about the game." And it's just indie titles they're incredible.
You
and
never know who's watching, dude. I've learned that, man.
Right.
Like that's when you're streaming or you're creating YouTube content, like you never know who's gonna watch your stuff.
Absolutely
You
true.
never know. That's why like I keep telling everyone that asks me, what do I gotta do to start streaming this and that? Like just make sure you're on your game, dude, because you never know who is gonna come out there and be like, I like this guy. I want to partner.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you never know,
You
dude.
never know
But
who's gonna.
That is so
like,
awesome that they
become
came out and gave
interested,
out
too.
games, and and you got it, but you have to expect that from indie developers too, because they really want people to enjoy their content. Because there's, like I said before, there's only so many people in their development team. You know, they want people to play that game. So the opportunity they can get to hand a couple of things out and get people excited about it and get them amped up, like they depend on guys like you to play the game and then talk about it
Yeah.
and then get other people excited for it and then just create that hype.
um,
That's why you don't get tweets back from games, like Far Cry or GTA, because they're like, well, we've already got that, so we don't need you.
Exactly.
That's true.
And if
You
they
and your
gave
people.
one person attention, then they wouldn't be giving attention to all these other people.
Yeah.
Alan
And
Speak.
God forbid, I'm sorry, but God forbid somebody were to get a free, a handout from the guys at Rockstar, because then everybody else will be like, well, where's my giveaway? Where's my
Right.
handout?
Oh my God.
I mean,
Oh.
I may or may not have gotten 2 copies of the game from Rockstar, along with like a complete package of goodies.
Oh, you fucker.
Maybe not. I might have gotten that. Maybe.
You
Alan,
shut your mouth then.
Alan
You
Speak.
shut your mouth when
Alan
you're talking.
Speak in the chat says, "What is an indie game? I really don't know, bro. An indie game is a game made by an independent studio. You typically classify a game as indie or AAA. I mean, I know that there's classifications in between, but I like to think of them as you have indie and you have AAA, are like the 2 big hitters right now. Indie is going to be somebody, that's smaller, the independent. They're not going to be published by a Ubisoft or an EA or a Sony Sony anyway. Okay, we could.
Honestly, like it's really interesting.
The line is being blurred at this
Yeah.
point.
That's kind of that's where I was gonna go with that. Is where I feel like indie titles are starting to get so much popularity, and people want quality indie games. They want somebody to put the time and effort into making something, and they don't want 300 people to be making a game.
Right.
Like obviously, if there's less people involved, you're gonna get more attention to detail, and the development's gonna be way more in depth. And chances are it's probably gonna be some of their own money. I mean, if you've ever watched, I forget what the documentary is called off the top of my head. It's a guy that did Fez, Team Meat.
The indie game?
What?
Isn't it called the indie game?
I
Or
thank
something
you.
like that?
Well, when it's that obvious, why would I be able to remember that? But for real, I mean, like I think indie games, especially solid indie games, like I still stand by the fact that I think that Transistor was probably one of the best indie games that I've
That
ever
was a
played.
great game.
Like, don't get me wrong, you may not like it. You may not like the fact that it's
This
action
guy.
and turn-based
started
RPG,
vomiting.
But like, I don't care what you say. The art, the soundtrack, was unbelievable.
It was great if you wanted to take a nap. I'll give it that.
All right, well, you're just gonna disagree with me.
Wow!
I'll agree to disagree.
Wow!
That's fine, dude. That's fine.
No, I'll agree. The art and the soundtrack are incredible. I can't. You can't argue that though. You really cannot argue that part
I mean, it's
isn't
like,
great.
Would you see that kind of stuff?
That's like saying that's like trying to argue that boobs aren't good.
Yeah.
Like they just are.
You can't compare boobs to Transistor. You
No.
can't do that.
The analogies are like if you were in
Go
left
back and
field,
change the
then we
analogy.
end up at fucking Saturn.
Yeah, that's fair. Boobs are Saturn, right? I'm guessing.
What? Okay.
I'm confused. Okay,
Done.
so let's talk about PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now is coming out next week. It's coming out 13th of January. And what it is it's a subscription-based service coming out for your PlayStation 4 only for now, but it's going to roll out to almost all Sony devices in the future, Vita, TVs. Is that it? Are those the only PlayStation TV? It's a streaming service for PlayStation 3 games for now. They said they're going to go back to PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, games like that as well. But it's $20 a month or 3 months for $45, and there's like 100 and something games on it. It's like 100 and some odd games you can just play. You pay $15 a month, and you can just play these games. And some of these titles are crazy. They have Super Street Fighter 4. They have the Ratchet and Clank games. They have Infamous.
And Super Street Fighter 2.
I mean, there are like some games. There are some games on this list, and beside the fact that it's newish, it's been in beta for a while. Beside the fact that it's still in its infancy, if they can make this work, like if Sony can make this work,
Yeah.
Microsoft
Is going to be in trouble.
is going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I
Right?
agree.
Because everybody
backwards
talks about
compatibility.
how you can't do backwards compatibility and how it's too much money and it's gonna make the system cost too much. People are gonna buy it. This is in the cloud. You don't even need any system specs for it. You can literally play it on your TV because it's being streamed from the cloud. If and there's a very 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 bold underlined italicized Comic Sans if here. If they can make it work, like we are looking at something that's going to literally it's going to completely change the way we play video games.
I agree with what you're saying. Xcoma in the chat. PS Now, he just said PS Now is going to be a legitimate option probably in about a year or so when they have a more substantial library. I wouldn't say it's going to be a year. I feel like PlayStation and Sony recognize the fact that this is a potential. I mean, this is a potential for people to like get back their old games that they've gotten rid of after a long time. Like they want to make this as available to people as possible at a reasonable price. They don't. I mean, yes, obviously. I mean, like $20 a month. I feel like what they're gonna do. I feel like what they're gonna do is keep it high to start with, and then lower it based off of the interest that they see at a much higher price than they would like it ideally to be at. And then from there, they'll be able to add in more games and stuff. So once they get, either more subscribers to that actual service or more games, then I think they'll lower the price and add more games. Because PlayStation just does that. That's what they do. I mean, now also they have, they have people paying for subscriptions as well. So what I really want to see is them expand the game library. Because I'm willing to pay as much as I need to for a good game. Like we've talked about it. We've talked about it this whole broadcast. If something is well put together and somebody's put the effort in, and the game development is solid and it's a fun game with replay value, I'll throw money at you, like no problem.
Take
no
my
big
money.
Deal. Yeah, seriously. Like
you can throw money at me anytime you want. By the way, if you're looking for something to throw money at, I'm here. I'm just sitting here.
For $4.99, I'm cheaper than a pack of cigarettes.
Hey,
Yo.
I've never unsubbed to either one of you.
So here's the deal. I'm looking at the game list right now. I know.
truth.
I know. I'm looking at the game list right now. There's 102 games, I think, is what it looks like, 102-ish. For $15 a month, you're telling me that at any moment in my life, I can play BioShock Infinity, which I would never do because the game blows balls.
Crazy Taxi.
I can play Crazy Taxi,
Great game.
Yeah.
Darksiders 1 and 2, Dirt 3. I could play Enslaved, Final Fantasy 13,
Metal Slug. Oh,
Metal Slug,
Where's
Infamous.
King of Fighters. Let's go.
Where's my Shadow of the Colossus?
Blaze Blue?
bro?
Shadow of the Colossus is on that list.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa. Is it Shadow of the Colossus or is it Eco in Shadow of the Colossus?
You can play Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time, Ratchet and Clank Full Frontal, Rainbow Moon. We're getting there.
Rise of the Guardians, the video game.
Rise of the Guardians, Saints Row 2, Saints Row 3, Saints Row 4, Shadow of the Colossus is on there.
That was a fantastic game too.
Is it Eco and
Yes.
Shadow?
No, it's Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay, I might. Well,
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, Super Street Fighter 4, The Last of Us, The Sly Collection, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Warhawk, and there's XCOM Enemy. Like, there are some games on there that, yeah, a lot of us probably already own, but for people that didn't have a PlayStation 3, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
so in order to be able to play PS Now games and PS3 games, all that stuff, do you have to have the subscription, or can you be able to individually select games that you want to play? That's the question.
You can do. There's two lists. There's a list of rentals and there's a list of subscriptions.
Of yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you make a good point. I like to break down my subscriptions on a per hour of entertainment basis. I don't know if other games are like that, but I agree. I'm like that to an extent, but also there's also a side to me that likes to. I like to base my games on entertainment value. I don't want a Call of Duty single player campaign that's 60 hours long. I want a Call of Duty single player that's 6 hours long and blows my balls off. And that's what Call of Duty does. So I don't mind paying $60 because I know I'm going to play it and it's going to be this huge blockbuster thing.
Well, just think of the access that everybody's getting. I mean, you're. What if people don't have a PlayStation 4? What if they want to play all of these games that they just don't have the means to get a console and getting all these games that they want to play? Or what if they just don't have the time? You know, the PlayStation. I mean, when I was at CES last year, and I had a chance to get my hands on PlayStation Now when it was in alpha, and it was really, really cool. Like, I was playing God of War. What was it? The God of War 2 or God of War 3 on a Vita.
Yeah.
And
The
that
collection.
was like, yeah, that to me, I was like, what is going on? Like, my mind was
pretty cool.
blown. And it was, at the time, it was hard to get some information about it, and that, but their mind was in the right place. Like, they just wanted to give people access. And then when they announced the whole Gaikai acquisition at E3 the year prior, that was just like they hit it right on the head.
I went to E3 that year when Gaikai got announced, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so blah, blah, blah. I was talking to me like, oh, yeah, it's called Gaikai. And I was like, Boo Gaikai?
Gaikai?
Did you say Boo Gaikai?
Gaikai?
And the girl looked at me like I was the worst person in the world. And I was like, it's a joke, Bukkake. It's a joke on Bukkake. Never mind.
Oh,
and then we got invited to a party. And long story short, Gaikai's awesome. They throw great parties. I didn't mean to interrupt you, HK. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, but the truth is, they're really doing some pretty awesome stuff, with the streaming service. And then, my biggest concern was, okay, I have to use a DualShock 3, which we all know is ass. But what about, how am I going to get access to these games? I don't have a PlayStation 4, but and then they were talking about the television streaming. And to me, that was very interesting because now we're taking these PC hardware specifications that are going into a console and then putting it into a television. And that's, and I live in Las Vegas for those of you guys that don't know. And this week, I'm actually, after the podcast today, I'm going over to CES. That's the Consumer Electronics Show.
Nice.
And so now last year they showed everything like wearables, like wearable technology and curved TVs. And all the TVs were gorgeous. Now, this year, they're kind of doing the same stuff, but I'm going to try to get my hands on and see what they got going on with the televisions. Just think of it this way. A PlayStation 4 has been crunched into this tiny little chip and put into your television, and you can play video games on it. Like, that is phenomenal. Now, then again, what about the cost? Like, what's the bottom line here? Like, I'm going to buy a television that is
$5,000.
Looks beautiful, and it looks like it came out of the Matrix. And yeah, $5,000. Does that justify me playing video games on my television? I don't really know about that.
No.
But now, what about this? Now, what if let's say in the future, right? Now, I know Dove was thinking a year from now. What if we go a few years from now? What if I am traveling and I'm in a hotel that has Wi-Fi? And not only do they have Wi-Fi, but their televisions have smart capabilities. What if I could play PlayStation Now in my fucking hotel room and then play all the video games that I wanted to play while I'm on a business trip or something? Like, now that would be phenomenal. Imagine I'm going on a business trip and I take my DualShock 3 with me, or hopefully it's
which you can do with the PlayStation TV. That's like totally viable.
The PlayStation TV. So then that's another thing. You could spend $100 and you can get your set-top box, put it on your TV, and you're good to go.
And the Vita can kind of do that with remote play if you have a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
I was playing Far Cry 4 in my bed the other day, which was insane, by the way.
There you go.
How's that going for you? You gonna 100% that?
No.
No? Are we gonna play the DLC like you said we were?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Without a doubt. It comes out pretty soon, right?
13th. You wrote the article, bro.
Oh, shut up. Look, it's hard to remember everything when you do everything yourself. Okay.
Hey man.
Jesus Christ.
Throw a little my way. I got you.
Yeah. Stop calling
Share
people.
the load.
Who's calling people over here? Somebody's dialing numbers over here.
It's not me.
Calling pizza. Calling bagel delivery service.
Hey,
Bagel delivery service.
I know that's an accusation.
That sounds so good.
Accusation in my direction.
An acquisition. Are you acquisitioning me?
All right, man.
Don't you acquiesce me?
I'm just trying to acquiesce me.
Okay, so we're moving on. I like that. PlayStation Now, I'm very excited for. I'm going to leave it at that. I think it's going to be amazing. I really do. Also, real quick, I played Super Street Fighter 4 on PlayStation Now at E3, and the lag was so minimal that the guy I played with and I actually had like an incredibly competitive match, like down to
the
frames.
The netcode is pretty good.
Like you're not going to be able to compete with it. Like you're not going to be able to go to Evo and all that shit with it. But like,
God, no, don't.
But like, I'm telling you right now, like you guys for like the casual or even like slightly more than casual Street Fighter fan will be able to play it and they won't notice that it's bad.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I mean, the only and I talk about this a lot with my viewers. We always discuss download upload. From your internet providers. I just got upgraded to fiber just a couple of months ago, and having a really really nice internet connection will be really good because these games are not that small. We're talking pretty large games that are going to stream to either a set-top box or your television. So having a good internet connection is going to be required. I mean, if your parents are paying for internet, you can't complain. But if you plan on getting PlayStation Now, I would suggest that's just me personally having a really good internet connection.
Moving on.
True.
So I want to open the floor. I'm going to let you guys talk because I find myself to do it too much.
Then shut up. Just kidding.
You shut your pretty mouth when you're talking to me.
There you go. He did it.
Hey now.
Guys.
Okay. So, here's the deal. I want to know. So I've been doing Throwback Thursdays for an entire week already, and the thing is that I'm already addicted to it. When I play older games, I realize there's a very large sense of nostalgia that comes with this. But the way that they're done, to me, they're a more complete game than a lot of games we see today. I want to know which one between you two, I want to know what you think, and the chat. I'm looking at you, chat. I want to know what you guys all think is the best system that's ever been made. Okay, best system. If you go ahead, whoever has an idea, I already know my answer. But whoever wants to go ahead and let me know.
The best ever of all time, like across the board, every.
Oh, man,
yes.
Oh my God, dude, we're gonna be here forever. The best console. I mean, I'll take the floor here. Why not?
Go for it.
I would probably say, after because this question's been asked before. Yeah, PC is the master race, right? I would probably say the one that I enjoyed the most was probably the Nintendo 64.
64, yeah.
Yeah. I played
easiest fix for everything.
Yeah, I think I've played enough Smash Brothers and GoldenEye, even Killer Instinct, for
the original KI.
The longest time. Like, I lost a lot of hours as a child. I had spent a lot of time with my N64. So I would definitely say that was a console that I know I can go back to and always enjoy no matter what. That was definitely, because I think just the controller alone was something very unique. That was definitely a fun controller to use. And Nintendo's always been known for having these interesting controllers. I mean, look at the GameCube, the N64, the Wii U. They got this, you get a tablet for Christ's sake, like that, So I think the N64 for me was a console that I think was one of the best.
Solid pick.
solid. GoldenEye. Tell me how many of you guys in the chat, like, for those of you that were in that generation or ever played GoldenEye, can you tell me that wasn't the most fun game to
I don't know.
play?
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree or disagree
On
with your pick.
4-player split screen, no prison rules, like you can't screen look, like just
No
playing with the dude. I'm telling you, man. I used to play. Dude, I'm telling you, man. Like when I would play with all my friends, dude. Like I was in like the 6th grade playing that game, and all of my friends would get together and we would play that game all night, and like no prison rules. You can't look at each other's screens, and we would try to set up these cardboard boxes so that we all could not see. You know what I mean? Like
or blankets. We used to do blankets for it. We'd like all like cover ourselves in like a shroud of blanket that we could only see our corner.
Only see your screen. Yep. So that was dude. That was playing on paintball mode, big head. Having who would get the golden gun first. Like think of the amount of being able to go back and replay that game and still have more fun. Like every time you went back. That game was I think just GoldenEye in general was a game that I hold very, very close to my heart because I just remember playing that game for a long time.
Let me also pose, just based on the fact that you just said going back and playing games, this is one thing that I wish was more like available. There's so many SNES and NES like simulated games that are available on PC. Yeah, whereas 64 not so much. Not so much.
They're hard to come by.
Like they really are. So I'm gonna have to say that like I totally agree with your statement, but I think NES and SNES might be like, they're still like the games for them. You can still go back and play like 150 NES games, or like, if you really want to, like if you really wanted to, you could go back and just draw NES games out of a hat and be able to play them until you just fall over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, I'm sure there are a lot of other consoles that you guys could probably say, like the Dreamcast or whatever.
GameCube.
The GameCube, but they all have their own and I'll even say at one point I even said the original Xbox was my favorite because that was the first console that I got. I got that console for Christmas, and my dad bought me Halo, and that was the first game that I ever played competitively, and I'll always look back in my mind. That's just something that I look back to and be like, wow, that is a game that I really enjoyed playing. Halo 2, Grace had said it in the chat, Halo 2 is a great game. That was a really competitive game, especially at that time. And, I think every console has its own little thing that you can go back to and say, that was the shit.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, which ones did you guys pick? Just so everybody knows.
Nintendo 64.
I'm gonna agree.
Both of you?
Absolutely agree.
Both of you with the 64?
Yeah, if I had to go with a differing opinion, then I'd go like PS1, just because.
If you're a role-playing game fan, then PS1, fucking,
Bro, Final
or
Fantasy
PS2
VII,
even.
Oh my god.
NFL Blitz?
Yes!
Are you
oh my god,
me?
I would yell at my brother to stop doing Hail Marys because that was such a broken mechanic in that game.
I literally would skip school at an age before I had to be there.
So here's the deal. I'm gonna go with
Duke Nukem.
I'm gonna have sort of a dual opinion on this because that's what I do. Because I can't make things easy. I never do. My favorite system, I think, with the best library of games for me personally, is the Super Nintendo. I don't remember a system where I go to if I go to a recycled video game store, I can't think of looking in the glass case and being more excited than when I look in the Super Nintendo section. I feel like every time I look in there, I'm like, oh my god, Lion King! Oh my god, Secret of Mana! You have Chrono Trigger! You have Earthbound! Oh my god, you have that! Oh my god, you have this! And I just feel like I'm constantly what? And I'm just freaking out.
You're like Arnold working out.
Give me this now! And I love it. Now I think that
and I love it.
The biggest jump. I don't. So here's the second part of my answer. I don't remember a jump between consoles impressing me as much as the jump between the Super Nintendo and the 64. I remember first seeing Mario 64 and just not understanding how I'm in a 3D world and I can move a camera, and I remember
pretty cool.
Like I remember certain areas of the game. I like trying to look like around my TV and like over ledges and stuff. Like I could somehow physically move a 3D world. Like the game, like it just that system blew my mind, and it without a doubt paved the way for what we see now. But holy shit, man! Like the Super Nintendo to me is without a doubt. It's
a legitimate choice.
I think you can make a strong argument for the PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2. That was a great console. Don't get me wrong. I think they probably Sony had the most. And it had somebody had said it in the chat. ZC Napkin. Solid library. Completely agree. Probably the most. And I rebutted with diverse, because it wasn't just one specific, genre of games that you can pick from on the PlayStation 2. There was a huge there's just so much diversity in what they chose from their developers to make, and it almost felt like I was working at GameStop at the time when the PlayStation 2 was like really thriving.
Who hasn't worked at GameStop?
Yeah, I think everyone was like I was a store manager there, and
La-ti-da.
I
I
think
worked at GameStop.
yeah, everyone.
I didn't. I actually didn't.
Good for you.
Come on,
Good
dude.
for you.
I'm just
But
saying.
I felt like every week there was always a new release on the PlayStation. No matter what, it was either whether it was something blockbuster or it was something just really, really small. Like there was always something new about that
I feel
console.
like it's becoming that way again, actually. And I actually noticed that right when PlayStation 4 came out.
What do you mean?
Like that there were much more diverse and available, like just a more available choice on PlayStation. Not necessarily even on disc too. I mean, like when they were doing, I know PlayStation, the whole PS Plus thing is pretty new. But I mean, just look at the games that they put on PS Plus. As you've said, The Swapper is one of them. Binding of Isaac. Before that, they had like Spelunky. Before that, or now they have like Injustice, which originally it was a $60 game when the consoles got released.
Good fighter too.
It's a fun fighter.
It's a fun fighter.
If you like Mortal Kombat and you like DC characters, then like you might as well just get in bed and
just get it on.
I mean, you're halfway there already.
In.
I mean, I hate Batman with a passion. And the other day I was able to beat the shit out of him with Scorpion, send him down to hell, and then like, and it just was, to me, it was like, fuck you, Batman. Like, this is what I've always wished would happen to you, because you're not a fucking superhero.
Damn it, Batman.
Like, for the 1000th time, you're just a dude with money. Like, you would get wrecked. I'm sorry. You just would die.
Hey, I trained years in parkour.
Yeah, but talking about, fighting games, look at,
Here's
DC
a blank check.
versus,
Get out of my city.
It's got to be
Mortal Kombat. Oh, fuck. I couldn't stand that game. That was like the worst one.
Which one?
DC versus...
Oh, that was bad.
That game was disgusting. It was horrible.
Yeah, that game was bad.
I watch Maximilian. He's a fight game streamer, content creator. I mean, that guy's the godfather of fighting games.
I mean, look, Dalty, don't get me wrong. I understand people like Batman. And I understand why people would like Batman. Because he's like an average dude. He's just a dude that like works hard and like climbs mountains to find dojos and like calls himself a Batman, has like a cave and shit, right? But like, he's just not a superhero.
Can I ask everybody? Let's segue for a second. Can I ask you guys all a question about Batman, just in relation to superheroes? So, somebody said Batman doesn't have any superpowers, right? Mr. Sour Diesel, he had said, is the best because he doesn't have any.
He's got a big dick. That's a superpower.
I like that statement.
Now, what about this? Who would win in a fight? All right, since we're talking about billionaire playboys here. Batman or Iron Man?
Iron Man. He has an Iron Man suit. He wins. That's the thing. It's not even a...
Yeah.
Really?
That's the problem with Batman. Is like, if you place him against any other superhero, he loses. Because he's not a superhero. Like that... Batman versus Spider-Man. Spider-Man wins. You just shoot some fucking webs at him, and then that's it. Or if Spider-Man gets in trouble, he just web slings himself to a higher building and just... he just web slings a tank into Batman's face. Like, I win. Iron Man versus Batman, easy. He just shoots his Iron Man shit at him. He's in an Iron Man suit. What's Batman gonna do? Come up and like punch him a few times? Hurt his little dainty rich man fingers.
Fucking Batarang.
Yeah, Batarang, big, and Iron Man's gonna sit there laughing because
I'm gonna grapple.
I'm
I'm
a diehard Iron Man fan.
On your
But
chest.
I would see that
I'm
fight.
gonna take it out.
I love Sour Diesel so much right now. I love
see this fight.
he fights superheroes all the time and he wins a lot of them.
Shout out to Rickety Bell for saying Scooby-Doo is a better detective than Batman. Love
I
it.
agree.
That's true, Rickety. That's true.
Oh my God.
Well, Batman,
the
Batman
reason why I
could.
ask is I was having a discussion with some coworkers the other day, and my buddy Danny, who does the Nightwing series, we were discussing, all these different cross-realm, superheroes fighting each other, and he had brought up Batman, billionaire playboy, versus Tony Stark, Iron Man, billionaire playboy. So I was like, that's an interesting one to talk about. So I figured I'd ask you guys. I know it was kind of like really random and off topic, but I wanted to ask you guys. Poor Batman's getting destroyed right now. He lost his parents. Now he's getting the shit kicked out of him. God damn it.
Well, Toshi with the shots fired. Batman kills Captain America in a comic.
Punisher.
But Toshi is absolutely right, and that was brought up in the discussion. Is that he?
Congratulations, Batman! You killed another non-superhero. I'm proud of you.
What are you talking about? He's the whoa. That's
he's
fucking
a project
blasphemy.
of the original Shield.
Whoa.
All right, we're not going to talk about this right now. I'm so sorry for bringing that up. No.
Look, Captain America is my favorite superhero. Like, don't get me wrong.
He wasn't one.
I didn't. No. Okay, he's my favorite if you consider a human a superhero. Like, I get it. He's a product of Shield and he's buff and they gave him steroids, right? Like, that's like saying Arnold Schwarzenegger is a superhero. Like, whatever. I get it. He has pecs. That's great, and he has an all-American smile, right? That doesn't make you a superhero.
Great cheese on his abs.
Okay, yeah, he could actually probably do that. Parmesan, please.
Just iron your clothes for the day.
I don't even know where we're going with this anymore.
All right, let's move on.
Where are we going? Favorite system? Super Nintendo for me, Nintendo 64 for you two. PlayStation 4 is slowly becoming my new favorite. Especially
that's justifiable.
Especially if the PlayStation Now, if PlayStation Now works. If PlayStation Now works, but I'm done because I'm done. Like, that's all I need. That's all I need. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so let's move into what we like to call the hot topic.
Hot topic.
Hot topic.
See what we did there?
That was really good. I'm really proud of us right now.
I didn't even know that was gonna happen. That just kind of happened.
We need a graphic for that.
That was awesome. Jim Gaffigan is doing his thing, isn't he? That's one of those things. So here's the deal. A fairly large exodus happened day before yesterday from IGN. So everybody knows IGN. You can't spell ignorant without IGN. We all know IGN. I don't know the names of all four of them because I don't like IGN. For the record, I've never liked them. I just don't like them. I know that Greg Miller, Colin
Moriarty.
Pride
of Long Island.
Moriarty, yeah.
Hey.
Now Jersey, and then two other people. I don't know their names. They left. They left IGN. Very suddenly, from what I can tell. Everybody was a little bit shocked. But really, four of their biggest employees, of their biggest content creators, left. And they left because they were tired of not being able to say what they want and produce the content that they felt the gamers wanted. Right? They were tired of working for a large corporation that they didn't feel had the interests that gamers had at heart. Now, they left in good terms, and they still, whatever.
I'm sure they didn't burn any bridges. I mean, hey, when there's creative misunderstanding, you're going to eventually clash heads and be like, hey, you can either, with a company like that, you can either grow with the company or you can outgrow the company. And it sounds like they might have outgrown.
So where I'm going with this is the industry's changing. So what these guys did is they left. They left IGN. They created a Patreon page. Which, if you don't know what that is, you can click that link and you'll see what it is. It's a space where you can go and support your favorite content creator with a monthly.
It's a patronage.
A monthly amount, or you could do
is really good.
You could do like per video, per song, per.
I know there's a million Kickstarter style things nowadays.
But Patreon is like the one right now.
That is
like,
a great service.
Patreon's amazing.
I'll have to check it out.
So the great thing about Patreon is that it allows the person viewing your content to say, "Hey, I really enjoy it. I want to support it. Here you go." Well, they did it, and within 9 hours, they had $12,000 monthly coming into this program. Okay, between 4 of them, that's $3,000 a month. I'm sure it's probably less than they were making at IGN, but that's within less than 12 hours.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I mean, you're paying rent.
You're paying rent. The industry's changing. And what it's doing is it's becoming more transparent. As the internet grows and as we are all more connected, transparency is inevitable. With transparency, especially for large corporations like IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, for instance, people are gonna start noticing things that they don't like. They're gonna start noticing bias and inconsistencies in their reporting and weird happenings that you wouldn't have been able to see in the early '90s or even the early 2000s that you could see from a simple Google search now. Especially with sites like NeoGAF, who don't give a fuck, and they say whatever they want.
For my account to be approved.
Yeah, I've been waiting for 3 years, dude, so good luck.
Oh,
wow.
God.
Wow.
It hurts
so where I'm going with this is the industry's changing. What I want to know from the chat and from you guys as well is whether or not you think, I gotta phrase this correctly, whether or not you think the industry is changing for the better. Like, do you think that IGN or these big corporations were the reasons for like the rather corrupt industry that we certainly have? I mean, look at Gamergate. Like, I don't think you can argue that there isn't some sort of corruption. Do you think it's these large companies that are at fault? Like, do you really think that Greg Miller and Kind of Funny are going to be, by branching off, are going to be able to avoid the Ubisofts and the EAs and the Sonys and the Microsofts being like, "Hey guys, we have this new game coming out. We'd love to fly you out here. You'll stay for a week. Oh, by the way, we'll get you a car and we'll pay for your hotel and we'll pay for everything. And then when you get back, you just might have a new kitchen. If you give my game a 9 out of 10. Look, I'm not that big in the industry. I get emails all the time from people that want me to review games that say in the thing, the review embargo date is blank. Unless you give it higher than a 9. Then you can post the review whenever you want.
Wow.
Right? Happens all the time. And the reason they do that is because
of course, they want good
publicity, and they know that the earlier you get it out, the more hits you get. So you're probably willing to give. No, I've literally never done that, and if anything, I'm stubborn as fuck. So I just typically wait until the day, give it like a 4 out of 10, and be like, go suck it. But the question I have for you is, do you think that this change, that them leaving, is a sign for betterment in the industry, or do you think it's still going to happen?
I agree.
I think it's a good sign, because then again, IGN's been around for a long time, so what does that say about the company? What about the integrity of their company? Because why all of a sudden would a group of really highly talented journalists, faces of the gaming industry, like, people look at these guys and be like, oh, that guy does reviews, or that guy does interviews, this and that, and then all of a sudden they just leave, so what, to the consumer, what does that say? So I think it's a good thing. I'm hoping that, IGN will clean up their act, and at least take the opportunity as, this is a good time to maybe rebuild and rebrand and maybe take a different approach to how they do business, because I definitely don't agree with buying. It's almost like somebody paying for viewers. It's not going to do you any good. It's like I see people doing shit like that all the time. They're just buying viewers to get them to the top of the Twitch page. It's just like, so what does that do for you? So what is paying to have a good review? Because really, you are the only person that can determine if that game is the one you want to play. You can't listen to everybody. I mean, yeah, you can go to YouTube and you can watch reviews and you can do, like, I'll speak to that. I've done product reviews just for myself because I want people to know my personal experiences with it, and then maybe give somebody a helping hand to see if that's something they really want to buy. But I'm just hoping that this change, this dramatic, if you really think about it, it is a pretty dramatic change. They'll they'll find some really good people to come in, and they'll rebrand, and they'll reconsider how they're doing business, and they'll do things the way they should be doing it.
So I agree with you, and I don't agree with you. So
Then let's talk about it.
No, I completely agree with you.
Discuss.
I completely agree with you in a perfect world. In a perfect world, you would leave it on yourself, and people in general would leave it on themselves, so whether or not I like that game, you would just go buy it and like it or whatever. Here is why people buy viewers. Here is why people buy better reviews. Because 99% of the gaming community, and this is not a negative thing, base their opinion on a game off of their favorite content creator. Right? They go to Metacritic, and they look at the Metacritic score of a game, and they see that it's 71 out of 100, and they go, oh, never mind. And then they whatever. Right? That's what they do. You go to Metacritic, and you see it as a 96 out of 100, fuck yeah. That's awesome. I'm going to go buy it. And that's how everybody is. And I don't care who you are. Unless you're made of money, you're going to do that. I do that. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
But you're going to look at a game that you're excited for, or maybe not excited for, and you're going to be influenced by that review score. Whether or not you want to admit it, you're going to be. Now, that might change when you play it. I mean, for me personally, if a game that I'm somewhat excited for gets a low score, I'm more willing to buy it than if it gets a high score, because I feel like the industry is so fucked right now that I do. Like, if a game gets 4 out of 10, I'll intentionally be like, fuck that. You know it didn't. It's not that bad. I'm going to go play it. I can guarantee you.
You really believe that NBA Live wasn't as bad as it was last?
Well, NBA Live's been a piece of shit for like 10 years, so
well,
I didn't even.
They didn't make the game for
But
6.
I loved
and then
NBA
brought it
Live
back for next
98.
gen.
It was so
I just
good.
wanted to kill myself.
Game's terrible. I just feel like.
It got a 4. Just saying.
I don't believe you, Reverend. Like,
See,
I don't believe you.
I don't think it's like that far fetched. I don't think it's so like completely like disconnected from the truth that it, you know. I agree with you that reviews are not accurate, and obviously as a reviewer you have more insight to that than I do, and more in terms of like being able to understand when you see a review that's completely fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I want to be able to, and maybe this is me having a problem. And maybe I want to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I don't know. Like,
So
I want to believe what I read and believe that person has something credible to actually say. And maybe
it's 50-50. When you look at people reviewing games, reviewing hardware, whatever, you know, like, okay, so Anthony, you said people going out to their favorite content creator and listening to what they say. They're an influencer, you know? Like, people ask me all the time, and they probably ask you too, how do you like your Astro headset? What are you going to tell them? You're going to give them your honest opinion. People are going to trust you because they enjoy your content because they have the exact same interests as you. So you have to give the people that benefit because they are going to the sources that they trust.
Yeah.
So you know, like when people ask me about the fight sticks that I use, I'm going to give them an honest opinion about it, you know, and then hopefully that'll help them make a decision whether or not that's something they want to pursue, if they want to buy it or whatever. But obviously you are your own individual. Now, if the content creator that you're watching has very similar interests like you do, then 9 times out of 10, if they like something, you're probably going to like it. So it's, you know, that's why I'm saying it's 50-50, because then there might be something that you like that person doesn't, and then you can agree to disagree. But how many times does that really happen, you know? So that's something you have to take into consideration, you know. Obviously, you don't want somebody else making a decision for you. It's always good to kind of get a little bit of insight and be like, okay, I kind of want to see what this is about first, because I might be a hesitant buyer. I don't want to be someone that's like, okay, just take my money.
Right.
I want to make sure I'm making the right decision, but there is nothing wrong with getting a little bit of help and getting a closer look at it before you buy.
Also, I know, Anthony, you said earlier, like you judge your purchases just at face value based off of Metacritic scores, and I do too as well. I definitely look at the Metacritic score, but when I'm like critically looking at a game, there are always certain things that I'm looking for. I mean, and I'm sure like everybody's the same. Like, you have things that you enjoy about games. So when people come into my chat and they're like, "Hey, do you like this game?" I'm like, "Well, It all depends on what kind of games you like. I mean, if it's a first-person shooter, then you probably like FPSs. If it's an open-world action RPG game, then you probably like the fact that it has RPG elements and it's open world, and you can build a skill tree and all that kind of shit. So I mean, like, if you like, as I was saying earlier with Transistor, I mean, if you like art, if you like music, I mean, if you're all about like the setting that you're in and the immersion to the game, then you got to pay attention to that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Even stuff like button mechanics. I mean, they differ from game to game, and you have to do your due diligence. And as long as I think it's we're talking about the integrity of journalism, and especially video game journalism. I only think it's going to make games better. And XCOMA said earlier in the chat that he was talking about how 2014 was the year of the mega patch. And how he thinks that this kind of update to the gaming industry and the way that we're really critically evaluating and developing games, I think, and I think he's absolutely right, and I think it's going to take care of that. Another thing that I think that people are not 100% willing to do, just based off of what I see, like in just retail vending, and then also especially in digital marketing, is that people aren't excited to pay $60 for a game. Like, I feel like developers are going to be really encouraged to really take a critical look at the retail price of games, because not everybody's going to be able to afford $60 for a game. It's $60 for a game, and you don't really think about it that much until you sit back and you have. I mean, you go to GameStop and you buy 5 new games, and you're short like $300.
No, you're right. So, okay. So first off, let me just say that I do not base my purchases off of Metacritic. That's not what I meant when I said that. I meant that I certainly look at
I said
review scores.
Value. I said face value.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
That's how you initially evaluate a
right.
game. Like, you'll be like, oh, it has an 85, so it's probably.
Well, typically, the reason I look at a review score is to be a contrarian. So typically, I'll look at a score and be like, yeah, 80, fuck that. Yeah, right. There's no way that game. Yeah, God of War 3 got a 90. Yeah, right. And then I'll like rewrite my review and give it a 45. Like, I just look at them to see if my thoughts are on par with the rest of what everybody's thinking. Because a lot of the times, as a game critic, you'll write your review and you'll post a score that's 95 out of 100, and then you'll go look at your colleagues and you'll see they're all giving it a 60, and you'll start thinking
Everyone's got an opinion though.
Like, what the fuck? What did I see that they didn't see? And then that's why I look at scores, just to kind of see, like, is this like what the hell? Did I miss something?
That's why America is so beautiful.
So
everyone can
sour
just speak their mind and have an opinion about everything.
I want to address Sour Diesel and Grapey really quick, because they both. So it's Grapey used to write reviews for a rather large website. He got a lot of press copies. Him and I were friends in the industry, and he brought up a really good point, which is that even he has been asked by publishers to maybe make your review score just a little bit higher since we gave you the game.
Just
Right.
fudge it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I literally don't get games from Sony.
Numbers.
Sony will not give me games anymore, period. Because I've reviewed a few of their large titles poorly, and they've just taken me off the list. I don't get updates, I don't get news releases, I don't get anything from them anymore, because I just shit on some of their games. That happens a lot. They'll give you a game for review. You won't like it. You'll explain why. And then they ask for the review, so you email them the review, and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Which is an understandable thing, because they're not going to give you a game if the last 5 games you've reviewed of theirs has gotten terrible press. So I understand how that would happen. So with them leaving, this is why I posed the question: do you think them leaving? I don't think it's going to change, because it's not these big corporations that's making the difference. It's not IGN that's making them review the game high, right? Now here's the difference, and here's where it might change. Here's where Patreon is beautiful, because it's no longer these publishers that are paying these game critics salaries.
It's the
right?
people.
It's the people.
It's the fucking people.
Right? So at the end of the day, and I've been doing this for years. At the end of the day, when a new game comes out, I could ask for a review copy. 9 out of 10 times I'll get it, like, without a doubt. But
Look at you.
But with that comes some responsibility. It comes some sort of responsibility to that publisher, to that developer, to maybe, like, I got to be a little more careful in how I review it. I can't whip out my dick and just slap it in the face like I want to, right?
Well, you can't. It's America, goddammit.
But if I go out and buy the game with money that you guys supported me with, or money that I have, I can make a review YouTube video of me burning the game, right? And there's no consequence to it.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about consequence.
It's the beauty of democracy, man.
Yeah. So I think that's the difference we might see. Not necessarily people leaving and doing their own thing. I don't think that's the change. I think the change is people that read and watch and enjoy the content created by somebody personally supporting them by funding them through Patreon or through Twitch or through whatever. The other point I want to bring up really quick, Sour brought it up, and Jake even mentioned it real quick. They use Twitch for their reviews. I can't even explain, if you're a developer or a publisher or anybody out there that is in the industry, and if you're listening right now, Twitch is money for you. Money. Yeah. It's money in the bank. Give your game to these Twitch reviewers, these Twitch streamers, not even reviewers. Just give your game to them. Let them play it, right? And honestly, it's not really going to matter what I think of the game to an extent, because people are going to be able to see it, right? They're going to be able to see the game being played and decide whether or not they like it. Twitch is exactly where the industry is going. It's probably about 3 years ago. I remember sitting down with when there were a couple other guys on Strength Gamer with me. I remember sitting down with them and saying, "Guys, we have to get in front of a camera. We like written press is going away. Nobody wants to read. It takes too long. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody believes it. They want to see your face. They want to see your expression."
But the beauty of real-time content. I mean, that's the best part about all of it. You know how many times
it's real reaction.
Is this? When I play Killer Instinct, people are like, "Is that just like the original?" Or like, are the original characters back? Is it, so there's the opportunity for somebody to see everything in real time, absorb it in real time, and then make a decision in real time. That is phenomenal. And, I speak to a couple of my mentors, as I try to progress in my channel growth. And, they're always saying that we are influencers, content creators, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube, on whatever. Absolutely. We are influencers in this gaming community as a whole, whether it's about products, if it's about hardware, if it's software, the developers should really take it. I mean, I think I know Blizzard, they even say that they have a room dedicated to watching streamers and watching how they're doing boss fights and how they're doing all the mechanics in the game to see if the games need to be fixed, if it needs to be balanced, whatever. And and at times when I'm, and Anthony, you could speak to this too, that you're developers that come out and they watch you play. So it's a very strong platform for developers to come out and watch the games being played, and for people to watch it in real time and really understand, what the final product could be.
Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that.
Okay.
Is that if we, the content creators, and I mean, as well, I view this content. I eat it up, right? I create it and I also eat it. It's important that we understand that the only way it will stay alive is if we support it.
True.
Right? So get rid of the ad block, right? Subscribe to a channel, drop $2 on a Patreon. Like, those things are the only way that we'll ever be able to see the change. The only way that it's ever going to be in our hands is by literally giving our money to these content creators, right? We essentially make me work for you. That's what we need, right? And it's really important to understand we can't have our cake and eat it too. We can't have honest, true gaming opinions that are void of industry bias without paying for it, right? We can't have non-bias and have honest. We have to support it.
Yeah.
Well, in order to do this successfully, and as a content creator, it costs us money as well to make sure that our hardware and our software is up to date, so that we are providing a very visual, appealing, and a very fun and exciting environment for our viewers to come and watch. So, I mean, Anthony, you rely on your subscription, and I do as well. And and then there are other people who are depending on donations and whatnot. So it's, obviously we depend on the community as a whole to support us so that we can continue to give the people what they really want to see. And then obviously if that support goes away, then everything else it'll create a domino effect. It'll all fall apart. So, things like Patreon are really, really great. And then obviously having, a sub button is really nice because then, having for the most part, steady source of whether, for me, it's secondary. So, having another source of income will help me continue to live out my dream and doing things like this. But if that were to fall apart, then obviously everything else will fall as well.
Okay. So it sounds like what we decided is that the industry is changing for the better.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I totally agree with that.
Also, we need to agree on the fact that capitalism doesn't necessarily, it's not gonna create an environment where you are gonna be able to have the best product at all times. Mm-hmm. It's just how it works. Like,
right.
In order to be relevant in a market, you just got to release stuff. It needs to come out. I
get a little concerned that perhaps the industry is changing faster than
it's becoming like movies.
Then we're ready. I don't think and Twitch has really opened my eyes to this. It's people want it all, and they want it all for free. And I don't think people understand that it can't happen. Like it just can't happen. You have to if you can't afford to give money to your content creator, then turn off your ad block because the ad will pay me, right? Like you can't expect great, honest, up to date, quick coverage of the industry of anything in the world. Without that person making money, and if we are independent content creators like we are, it's up to you, the listener, the reader, the viewer, to do that. So
I can see you being a little bit more passionate about that in that sense because that is your full-time job. And Anthony, we have somewhat had debates about it because I work a full-time job and Twitch is your full-time job. I want Twitch to be my full-time job. So there's checks and balances when it comes to, everything. But everything you said was right. The ad block, if no one has to subscribe,
Right, not at all.
But at the same time, this person is doing this as their job, and in order for them to put food in their stomach and put clothes on their back and support their families, they need to get some kind of kickback from it. So you having ad block is essentially taking away dinner for somebody.
Well, yeah,
and it might sound a little harsh, but
it's not
reality.
Though.
It's the reality.
And here's the thing: is we need to change, and it will change. It'll move. I'm not complaining at all. By the way, not at all. I'm not complaining at all. What I'm saying is that. It has to happen, right? And I think what's going to happen is it's going to end up changing from a donation, like give that stream a donation, to tip your content creator. Like leave
it's
a tip.
It's like going to a restaurant and not tipping your waiter.
And not tipping. Like we're in a society now where when you don't tip your waiter or waitress, you feel guilty. Like I should just leave like a couple bucks, right? Yeah. Like I should leave a couple. Whatever. She didn't give me Tabasco, so I won't give her 20%, but I'll still give her 10. Like. That's the same. It's the same idea. It's the same idea for this. Like, if you sit there for 8 hours watching a streamer and you're like, "That was awesome," and he or she convinced me whether or not to buy or not buy a game, leave $1. Like, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. And we'll see it. It'll move. It'll change. And this is all new to everybody. Twitch is young, and we're all young in Twitch, so it's certainly new.
Can I answer a question in the chat? Sour Diesel brought up he has a question, and it's legit. So his question was, do you guys think ad block is okay? If they are sub to the stream, and I'm gonna disagree with that, and I can understand why you would want to use ad block if you're subscribed. Now, the reason why I disagree is because there are some streamers who have and just as a partner, guys, I'll be very transparent with you guys. The ads don't necessarily generate that much kickback for us. It all depends
like
on
PewDiePie.
Yeah, unless you have a certain amount of viewers, if people are clicking those ads, they're navigating.
You already have a certain amount of
viewers. So there's a lot to getting those ads and getting, generating some revenue for yourself and supporting yourself with the ads. And some content creators, some Twitch streamers, they'll run ads every 8 minutes. That's the minimum that you can wait to run an ad, whether it's 30 seconds or a 3-minute ad. It's the minimum ad you can run is 30 seconds. The maximum is 3 minutes. I'm going to be very transparent here with everybody. I don't like to run ads because I want everybody to watch the content. I'll run a 3-minute ad when it's time to stand up and stretch because it's not very healthy to sit in front of a computer for 6 to 7 hours a day and not stand up and stretch a little bit. But I think, it's on the content creator to do what they can to build their channel, build their brand, and get their names out there so that when they get to a certain amount of subscribers, you can get ad-free channels. So there are a couple of streamers that I watch that I'm subscribed to because I like to support them. Their channels are so big that they don't have to worry about ads for their subs, so their subs get ad-free. For myself, because I'm not a very big streamer at all, if somebody subscribes to my channel, they will have to watch the ad. It does help me, So it's I would say, try not to use it. You are your own individual, but to answer the question, I would say no. It's not a really good idea to have ad block whatsoever, no matter what. Whether they are a partnered streamer or if they're a streamer looking to make it in the content creation world. Because even, Twitch does take into consideration if you're a non-partnered streamer, they want to see how many people are coming to your channel to watch and see how many ads are running. That's all taken into consideration when you apply for a partnership. So it's something to keep in mind. So no ad block. No, and we actually have, and Anthony, you could speak to this too. There is an option that we can turn on that will warn you if you do have ad block. It'll ask you to turn it off.
Yeah, I have that turned on.
Yeah, so please, if you're not going to subscribe, perfectly fine. If you're not going to donate, perfectly fine. Let the ad run. Open up a new tab. That's all you got to do. And if you really want to get around it, watch it on mobile. You can't get ads on mobile.
Yeah, I get ads all the time on mobile. Actually.
There you go.
And I watch them. And
and you watch it.
I watch it. Like, I got no problem doing it. Like, it's no big deal.
So if you're subscribed to a channel, is it okay to use ad block? I don't like ad block. I never have. Unless I'm browsing Pornhub, I don't need ad block.
You get ads on Pornhub? I'm gonna have to test
if the streamer that you're sub to is one of those guys that runs an ad every 10 minutes, then ad block the fuck out of that. That's bullshit. But other than, it's cents on the dollar. I don't really care. I guess I don't care. The only thing I care about is people that don't support at all, right? When you're just sitting in the chat talking about I don't get ads, I'm using ad block. Why would I ever pay for this? All you do is play games all day. Why would I ever? That's the type of people that I'm like, all right, let's listen up real quick, young whippersnapper. Let me explain how the world works for you. Son. Do what you want. It's not a thing, yeah, and I think it's on a case by case basis, I suppose, but.
Obviously, spamming, ad roll is a problem. That is just annoying. Why would I? Because then again, you're hurting yourself. You're not, because then what's going to happen is that ad's going to run. Someone's going to be like, fuck this, close. And they're just going to close the ad and they're going to walk away from it. Because, why would I can't even watch that person because they're running ads all the time. For me, my little formula is, if it's more than an hour that I haven't run an ad, it's probably time for me to stand up and stretch. I'll run a 3-minute commercial, give everybody a chance to walk away for a few minutes, get a little stretch going on, do a little jumping jacks or whatever, stretch out the obliques, and then sit down and get back to work. That is okay. But running a 30-second ad every 8 minutes is, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on to the last part. I have a would you rather that I want to pose to you two.
Oh shit.
Okay. I have a would you rather. Now here's how I want this to work.
Is suicide an option?
No, I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm gonna give you both options, and here's how I want this to work. I don't want you guys just to decide. I want you guys to ask questions about it. Really dive into how this works. Really figure out which one you want. Ask me questions. I'll answer the best that I can. We'll leave it open for a few minutes. We'll close the floor, and then you guys decide which one you want. Okay? Are you ready? Okay.
No.
So, here's how it works. Hang on. I used to hear from you all, it was big streamers, it was just important that viewers are active. Do you see it different now? Yeah, no, I think that's... I've said that 1,000 times. I've said that subscribing is amazing. but subscribing and then never going to the channel again isn't really all that helpful.
I
Yeah,
like
that
having,
doesn't make a
I
lot of
like
sense.
having the more for me. I like to feed off the energy of the chat.
Yeah, the
If chat is
viewers
moving,
in the
like,
chat
I'm
is better.
with you, man. Like
Yep.
that is, I think a lot of and Anthony does it too. I do it. Like I sometimes will stop playing the game just to read the chat and talk to you guys. Like that to me is much more fun because we're
I would
interacting,
never do
having a good time. Yeah, Dovis doesn't do that shit.
But do it all the time.
Yeah, so I think it's more important to have an active chat than anything.
Okay.
I love talking to you guys, so it's good to have an active chat.
Here is the would you rather.
Would you rather?
Would you rather wake up naked and sore without any memory of the night before next to the Burger King telling you you had it your way?
Oh.
Or would you rather wake up naked next to Ronald McDonald telling you that you were loving it? So,
Ooh.
would you rather wake up naked and sore next to the Burger King telling you that you had it your way?
Well, let's.
Or would you rather wake up naked next to Ronald McDonald telling you that you were loving it?
Okay. Do you want me to kick it off really fast? Because I got
do it.
this for you. All right. First of all, let's break down the food. I'd rather eat BK over Mickey D's. That's just me. I will hang out in the BK lounge for an hour or two. Not a problem.
The BK Lounge.
It's
So
what it's called, bro.
you're assuming that because the food is better that maybe the sex is also better.
No. Oh no. That's where I'm starting.
Okay.
That's my rationale for showing up at said restaurant, okay? Like, which one would I choose? It's going to be BK. So
Right.
I'm more likely inclined to show up at BK. All right, then when I get to BK, who's a more inviting mascot? Like, would you rather have a creepy clown handling your food that's probably like 65 years old and has been, I mean, like, I don't know how I feel about Ronald. Like, he's a little suspect. And then there's the king. And they're both smiling, don't get me wrong. If you ever played Sneak King on Xbox 360, then you probably don't want to go to BK.
$2 video game.
Just
Best
saying.
one ever.
I love that game.
It's a great game, but you probably are not going to want to show up at BK. Yeah, I don't, honestly.
All right, ask me a question. Come
I
on.
do like to have it my
Figure
way.
it out.
I'm going BK.
You're going BK right
I'm
now.
going BK.
Okay.
All right,
do
so
like to have it my way.
again, the question was waking up naked at a BK.
You're waking up with the Burger King telling you that you had it your way, or waking up next to Ronald McDonald telling you that you were loving it. In other words, would you rather have sex with Burger King or with Ronald McDonald? Basically.
Well, I would probably say, yeah, I would agree with the Burger King because at least he's smiling. So at least I know he's definitely enjoying it.
Well,
Or
also think about this. When Ronald McDonald says that you're loving it, that doesn't necessarily mean that, if you're having it your way, you're having a great time. Like, if you're loving it, it doesn't necessarily mean
Jesus
that, like,
Christ.
you're doing anything in this situation. You could just. I'm just saying.
Look,
like, at least you're having it your way.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Then again, I wake up every morning naked and sore too. That's why I kind of was a little bit late to the Skype call.
When I was in junior high, maybe 6th grade, we went to McDonald's like on a field trip to see like the shit that goes on backstage, and Ronald McDonald was there. But this Ronald McDonald just happened to be a woman, which happens a lot.
Yes.
It happens a lot.
That's
a lot of women, a lot of females dress up in these male costumes because they're like, okay, fuck the patriarchy. I get it. I'm sexist for saying this. They're better with children, right? They typically are more animated and they can that's why a lot of mascots typically have women inside of the suit because they're guys are like, we're big and we're not flexible and we're like, well, whatever, fuck, it could be a beer. And chicks are like, yes, oh, I'm so bad. And they do like the Macarena and shit. Like that's what girls do. So
fucking Macarena. What?
So again, the problem is that you weren't listening. You weren't listening to what I was asking you guys to ask me questions because in this scenario, Ronald McDonald is a woman. Now you didn't ask me the right questions, so you both just chose that you'd rather have sex with a male king than have sex with a female clown.
Bingo! Maybe that's in your mind.
I'm just
because I'm sorry.
Hey.
Every McDonald's around here.
You didn't ask the right questions. You didn't ask me.
You asked us a question to answer it, not follow up your question with a question. You asked. That's
You
not
didn't.
how it works.
You didn't ask. You didn't ask. You both get negative 1 point.
I'm comfortable with my sexuality, so.
You both lost. Look, we're out of here, guys. We're out of here on that loss.
God damn it.
Continuing HK Smash's losing streak from last night.
Oh.
Yeah. That was No, then you left the stream and I came back and I was on a 10-game winning streak.
All I have to do is I just have to play Rip Tour against you, and then you'll break down your own game.
Yes.
I can just stand on the left side of the screen and you'll just start hitting yourself.
Oh God. I was definitely ready to punch myself in the PP after the losing 50
Oh my God.
times, just repeatedly. Yeah.
Maybe my way was him licking chocolates off my balls. Oh. Okay.
The chocolate salty balls.
Okay. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up and hanging out.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing. We rambled on for about 2 hours, longest one yet, but I think they're going to probably be this long. We have a lot to talk about. So next week, PlayStation Now is coming out, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, about our impressions on that. The Far Cry 4 DLC will be on next week's podcast. I don't know who our guests will be. I don't know who it'll be.
I don't know.
And we'll go from there. But thank you. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Is when we're live. So if you are listening to this,
I like having HK on.
It was fun. It was fun.
Thanks for having me, though.
If you're listening to this, you can watch us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/AnthonyACC, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. We would love to see you in the chat. Love to see you hanging out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This is Anthony Accinelli on the mic. I'm out.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.